We will now start using AdvaniaGIT with Docker. You can see that in the setup.json I have defined which Docker container image to use. I can go directly to build an AV environment. Of course, on this machine, Docker has already been installed. We need to enter a password for the local user so that the user can have a full access to the Docker image. It can take up to 2 minutes for the Docker container to start. Note that even if you are looking at NAV 2018 on the recording, this is not officially released from Microsoft and can be changed. The result is a nano server running on your computer containing the full setup of NAV. The image that I'm using here is the developer preview image. That image contains a relatively new release of nav Tenerife, and it contains everything you need to do AL development to build extensions version 2.0. After the container has been started, we will install AdvaniaGIT onto the container. Our final steps are to update our development license to the installation inside the Docker container and copy the AL extension that has been shipped with the image to our local host. We can now start our web client to make sure that everything is working. Before starting the web client or any client, AdvaniaGIT makes sure that the Docker container is running. If it's not running, it will start it automatically. We can see in the URL that each Docker image or a Docker container has a unique host name. Everything is up and running, and we can even do our in-client development right there. If we do the build again, the machine will see that the Docker image is already running, but it will still update the NAV license and recopy the AL extension. We can now start our classical development as well. The Docker container has the role-tailored client made for that version, and we will copy that role-tailored client with the development tools to our host computer, from where we will then start developing. All our AdvaniaGIT functions to import and export objects will work perfectly with Docker. Same thing happens when we start our Windows client. The role-tailored client is copied to our local computer, to the host, and it started from there. We can expect the same behavior when we start the debugger. Since we are running the developer preview, we will be able to do our development in Visual Studio Code. When we start Visual Studio Code for the first time in our branch, we need to start it either against the current branch or against the base branch. In this case, we start it against the current branch, which means that it will use the branch settings for the current branch to create the launch JSON. The launch JSON will then be automatically created, so you can download symbols immediately. The app JSON file is also created based on your setup JSON. Let's create our Hello World example. We'll use a snippet to create a page extension, and we will extend the customer list with a simple function. The idea is to have a message saying Hello World appear when we open the customer list page. In the September release, we need to remove the tenant information before starting the debugger or before publishing the extension. We will now send the new extension to our server, and it will start our web client. Starting the customer list should show us our message, and that's working. When we are creating extensions against our new development environment, we might need to do some cleanup. We can go into the extension management, uninstall and unpublish all the unneeded extensions. We can update the launch JSON file to ask our web client to start on a predefined page. In this case, we are asking it to start up on the customer list, and it will directly show us the message. Our development in VS Code has now finished. We are back in source tree, and we can see in file status We have created several files. All the files are in the AL folder. This we can stage to our repository, write a comment message and commit it. The next time we would like to open our AL project, we can use the action which starts VS Code. This option will just start VS Code without creating or changing the launch JSON or the app JSON, and we can continue from where we left off.